This video is brought to you by True Tales of Buried Treasure, the largest collection of old treasure magazines in the West. On our website, you can search for individual treasure stories by region, or buy our original magazines themselves. To pay us a visit, please click on the link in the description. Enjoy. In the southwestern corner of Oklahoma lies a rugged range of mountains known as the Wichitas. Stretching 60 miles in length and barely 20 miles wide, these mountains are steeped in legends of hidden gold and silver mines, along with more than 60 tales of buried loot left behind by outlaw gangs and renegade tribes. The range takes its name from the Wichita Indians, a relatively peaceful people, though it was the fierce Kiowa tribe that roamed the region. From the Kiowa comes one of the most compelling and well-documented stories of lost treasure in the Wichitas. The tale begins in 1832, a time when white men were rarely seen in Kiowa territory. Most Kiowa had never encountered a white man, nor did they fully grasp the value of gold and silver coins. To them, these coins were merely decorative, obtained from Mexican traders and fashioned into bridles, bits, and hair ornaments. During the summer of 1832, a group of white traders was making its way along what would later become the Santa Fe Trail when they were ambushed by a war party of Kiowa warriors. Vastly outnumbered, the traders were quickly overpowered, either slain or driven away, while the victors looted their goods. Among the spoils were 5 packs filled with gold and silver coins, which were divided among the 3 chiefs leading the attack. The following summer, one of these chiefs traveled to the camp of Adate, also known as Island Man, whose Kiowa band was encamped near the headwaters of Otter Creek. He brought with him his share of the stolen gold, perhaps hoping to trade some of it. However, he arrived too late, as Adate's band was already engaged in trading with a group of wandering Mexican traders, who themselves carried a large supply of coins. The exchange between the Kiowa and the Mexicans continued for a few days, but their dealings were soon overshadowed by tragedy. At dawn one morning, a band of Osage warriors launched a brutal attack. Without warning, they tore into the sleeping camp, dragging women and children from their beds and slaughtering them with swift, merciless strikes of their knives. The few old men who managed to arm themselves with bows fought back bravely, while the rest of the camp erupted into chaos. Mothers desperately hid their children among the rocks, but the Osage were relentless, hunting them down without mercy. Amid the carnage, one elderly Kiowa man managed to escape. He ran for miles, searching for help, until he stumbled upon a camp of friendly Cheyenne. Gasping for breath, he recounted the horrific events, prompting the Cheyenne warriors to leap onto their horses, too rushed to even saddle them, and race toward the Kiowa camp. The Osage sentries spotted the approaching riders and raised the alarm. Quickly, the raiders gathered whatever little plunder they could, mounted their stolen Kiowa ponies, and fled. The Cheyenne pursued them at full speed, but the Osage managed to escape. When the surviving Kiowa returned to their devastated village, they were met with a gruesome sight. The Osage had not only massacred their people, but had also beheaded the victims, placing each head inside a brass bucket, a cruel display of their brutality. These buckets, which had only recently been acquired through trade, now formed a grim row at the center of the burned-out camp. Heartbroken, the Kiowa gathered their fallen and buried them in a large sunken pit at the bottom of the glade. The remains of the destroyed camp, including the brass buckets, the traders' packs, and the possessions of the visiting chief, were thrown into the grave as well. The site was then abandoned forever. The Kiowa named the place Cutthroat Gap, a chilling reminder of the bloodshed that once stained their homeland. The Osage raiders, carrying their plunder, including a number of gold coins, rode into Fort Gibson after their attack. When questioned about the origin of the coins, they recounted the brutal massacre at Cutthroat Gap. They also noted that most of the gold was likely still buried in the glen, as it was Kiowa custom to inter a man's belongings with his body. Gold hunters were eager to search for the treasure, but fear of the fierce Kiowa warriors kept them at bay. By the time they felt it was safe to explore the area, nature had erased all visible traces of the burial site. For years, Cutthroat Gap became a popular Sunday picnic spot where visitors, both young and old, entertained themselves by collecting remnants from the battle and searching for the lost fortune. Over time, the battlefield's traces vanished, and as far as anyone knows, the estimated $70,000 in gold remains undiscovered. Yet, the legend of Cutthroat Gap does not end there. In 1871, another treasure, a portion of the stolen Fort Sill payroll, valued at approximately $93,000, was rumored to have been buried on the southern slope overlooking the glen. This payroll, taken by raiding Native Americans, has never been reported found. Cutthroat Gap lies north of Baker's Peak, on a private ranch just beyond the northwest corner of the Wichita Mountains Wildlife Refuge. Nearby, Devil's Canyon, a remote and rugged expanse on the far western edge of the Wichita Mountains, is steeped in even more treasure lore. Renowned researcher E. Buford Morgan once called it a devil of a place, while Native Americans have long referred to it as Haunted Canyon, claiming that eerie noises echoing through its depths are the restless spirits of old Spanish miners, still toiling at their long-abandoned dig sites. Scattered throughout the canyon are adobe and stone ruins, believed to be the remnants of an ancient Spanish mining settlement. If mines ever existed there, they have long since been sealed off by their former operators. Still, there is little doubt that some kind of settlement once thrived in the area, especially considering that there was little else besides precious metal to keep men in such an unforgiving landscape. Over the years, numerous human remains, mostly Native American, have been unearthed in the region, along with beaten gold and silver ornaments. Artifacts of dragoon origin have also been discovered, adding to the mystery. According to Native American legend, around 1761, a group of Spanish miners, under attack by Kiowa warriors, abandoned 40 burro loads of gold bars by dumping them into a ravine on the canyon's northeast slope. When they later returned to retrieve their hoard, the ravine was deemed inaccessible and the gold was left behind. In the early 1830s, hammered gold ornaments traded by the Kiowa to the dragoons were believed to have come from these very mines. Not far from the canyon, about 2 miles to the southeast, another fortune lies buried, a stagecoach carrying an army payroll in gold, which reportedly sank beneath the sands on the east bank of the North Fork of the Wichita River near Old Perry Crossing. Though the approximate location is known, no one has ever claimed to have found it. South of Devil's Canyon, the Twin Peaks of Twin Mountain rise, an area deeply entrenched in outlaw history. It has long been rumored to be a favorite hiding place for buried loot, and Jesse James, notorious for his many hidden stashes, is said to have concealed a fortune, estimated at $2 million from his train robberies, somewhere in the Twin Mountain region. It is well documented that the James gang sought refuge in the Wichita Mountains for a time, staying long enough that a group of U.S. Marshals even built a small cabin along West Post Oak Creek, near what is now Treasure Lake, to use as a base of operations in their pursuit of the gang. Some believe Jesse James buried his greatest treasure on the northeast side of Mount Scott, rather than at Twin Mountain. Adding to the intrigue, Frank James later settled in the small town of Fletcher, Oklahoma. Why he chose Fletcher remains a mystery, though many speculate that he was searching for the very treasure his gang had hidden in the Wichita Mountains. Some claim he simply could not recall the exact burial locations of the many caches rumored to be hidden in the region. Whether truth or legend, the Wichita Mountains remain a land of mystery, their rugged terrain still whispering the tales of lost fortunes waiting to be found. When the treasure was originally buried, the land was wild and uninhabited. However, by the time Frank James returned to retrieve it, the entire region had been settled, and the landscape had changed dramatically. Every morning, he would mount his horse and race toward Mount Scott like a man possessed, hoping that something in the terrain would spark his memory. The treasure had been hastily hidden while the gang was fleeing a posse, and Frank believed that retracing his fast escape route might help him recall the exact location. Unfortunately, he never found the cache. He died a few years later, still a poor man, succumbing to tuberculosis. Near the entrance to Treasure Lake Campground lies a small eroded gully known as Spanish Canyon. Atop one of its ledges is a shallow, seemingly man-made cave with 3 intriguing markings on its walls. 2 of these markings are crude Spanish crosses, their reddish-orange outlines now barely visible. The third symbol appears to depict either the sun or a turtle. Many believe these markings were made by early Spanish prospectors, as both the Spanish cross and the turtle are known treasure signs. The cross often indicates buried treasure nearby, while the turtle's head is thought to point in the direction of hidden wealth. Although no gold has ever been reported found in Spanish Canyon, the area contains other old Spanish treasure symbols carved into both rocks and trees. Another legendary cave, hidden on the east side of Elk Mountain, has fueled one of the most enduring Wichita treasure tales. This cave is said to be sealed with an iron door. Reports of the door date back to the 1870s, though no one knows how it got there. Some believe the cave houses loot from one of Belle Starr's train robberies, possibly as much as $1 million in stolen government funds. According to legend, Starr and her gang plundered a train, stole its baggage car door, and used it to seal the entrance to their secret hideout, where they stored their stolen riches. Belle was so impressed by the hiding place that she continued stashing her loot there, even having the door set in cement so it could be opened and closed at will. Trees were carefully positioned around the entrance, making it nearly impossible to see unless someone was standing directly in front of it. However, some believe that Belle's cave is not a cave at all, but rather an old Spanish gold or silver mine. If so, the iron door may have an alternate explanation. Spanish miners were known to seal off particularly rich mines when they intended to return later. Instead of a door, they often used boulders and cement mixed with animal blood, which was believed to create a stronger mortar. Over time, this blood-infused mortar would take on a rust-colored appearance, possibly leading to the mistaken belief that the entrance was sealed with an actual iron door. Whatever the truth may be, the mystery of the iron door continues to intrigue treasure hunters. The Wichita Mountains hold many other tales of lost riches, still waiting to be discovered. Cherokee Bill's hidden bounty is said to lie buried atop Flat Top Mountain and Teepee Hill. Deep within Hobbs Canyon in Comanche County, another outlaw cache, worth an estimated $748,000, remains undiscovered. Near the ruins of the old Pecan School, about 15 miles south of Latham on the Cache River, 7 mule loads of gold bullion were buried by a group of Mexican traders fleeing from hostile Native Americans. In the Slick Hills, roughly 15 miles northwest of Mears, lies Bat Cave, where in 1924, a miner named Keown discovered a platinum-rich ledge. Unfortunately, he was killed in a mining accident before he could stake his claim. Beyond its hidden riches, the Wichita Mountains are also rich in history. Those interested in early American artifacts will find plenty to explore. In Devil's Canyon, the ruins of an ancient adobe and stone settlement still stand, believed to have been the remains of a long-forgotten Spanish mining outpost. Near the mouth of the canyon lies an abandoned Wichita Indian village, a silent testament to the region's early inhabitants. Not far from Devil's Canyon is Soldier Springs, the site of Major Andrew W. Evans' fierce battle against Chief Horseback's Comanche warriors on Christmas Day, 1868. At Twin Mountain, remnants of Spanish mines and settlements, dating back to the late 1600s and early 1700s, can still be found. Meanwhile, 10 miles east of Twin Mountain, in Wild Horse Canyon, lie the charred remains of Mexican camps that were burned during an Indian raid. By 1878, white prospectors began arriving in the Wichita Mountains, searching for gold and silver. Though the land was part of the Kiowa Comanche Reservation, these fortune seekers dug into the earth and attempted to establish settlements, only to be driven out by soldiers. When the reservation was finally opened to white settlers in 1901, mining towns sprang up across the Wichita Mountains. However, when no significant gold strike was found, prospectors moved on, leaving behind ghost towns in their wake. Today, the ruins of once thriving boomtowns Springfield, Mount Scott, Sieg, and Kinney dot the mountains, offering promising grounds for treasure hunters. However, it's important to note that many of these locations lie within the Wichita Mountain Wildlife Refuge, or on private land, so permission should always be obtained before beginning any search. The legends of lost treasure continue to weave their spell over the Wichita Mountains, drawing fortune seekers who hope to uncover the secrets hidden beneath its rugged terrain. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to read the original article or purchase the magazine from which it was taken, please check out our website, TrueTalesOfBuriedTreasure.com.